G'day everyone, I just wanted to welcome you to graphics, and I'm going to start by showing you some materials that you need for your drawing. So the first thing you can see in front of you, this is a drawing board. There's lots of different types of drawing boards. This one here has a ruler that can come off and go back on. Generally it has a bar at the top and that's called a T-square. Now this one goes onto place, you press the button down and it moves up and down. It's pretty cool. Take your finger off and then it doesn't move as easily at all. A few different things that you need for your drawing. You tend to need a pencil. Now depending on what sort of pencil drawing you're doing, depends what sort of lead pencil you're going to do. So for the example, this one I think is a 2B or a HB. You need a sharpener to keep your pencil sharp so you have accurate measurements. A soft eraser that's going to help you draw, rub out your work. Now this is one that I also use for tech drawing. This is what I call a clutch pencil, but some people call it a pacer pencil. And what happens is you press the end and the lead comes out, and then it's never going to get that sort of blunt effect that a pencil can have. You also need a set square. Now this one is called a 30-60 because the angles are such that this is 30 degrees and then this must be 60 degrees. Now there's also another one because it's called a 45 because both these angles are at 45. Okay, so we're going to make a start with what we're doing with our graphics lesson. So when we're looking at our line work, we look at our horizontal lines, which lay flat, our vertical lines, which are up and down, and our diagonal lines, which can go to a side. Now, when we look at our measurements, we're going to try and work in millimeters, and 10 millimeters is equal to 1 centimeter. So we're going to use our drawing board, our papers on our drawing board. We're going to push up our T-square, and we're going to measure 10 millimeters. So I'm going to just start at a point and measure across 10. Now making sure I have a sharp pencil, and then my next one is going to be 15, and then the next one is 30, then the next one is 50, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, the next one's 70. So I'm going to start here and go across. That was too far. To here. Then the next one's 75. And the next one, which is 100 millimeters, is equivalent to 10 centimeters. There you go, and that's using your T-square to do your ruling some horizontal lines. Well, the next thing we're going to do is try to do the same thing, but we're going to use our T-square and our set square. What was the name of this one called? It's our 60-30 set square. Now, what happens is the T-square and the set square have to work together. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same measurements again. We're just going to go down the page. So I'm going to press the button, make sure it moves, and I'm going to measure 10 millimeters. Move it down a little bit. Then I'm going to measure 15 millimeters. Oops, a bit crooked. Then I'm going to measure 30. So I'm going to hold them together so they don't move this time. 30. Then the next one is 50. Then the next one is 70. Now these have to stay together, and this has to be horizontal and this has to be flush, so against it. So you get a nice straight line, and then that one is 70. And then the next one's 75. And then the next one's 100. Okay, so we've got some horizontal lines and some vertical lines. Why don't we try doing some diagonal lines, which are lines that go in a different direction. So all these lines are either going to go one way or the other. Okay, let's use these same dimensions again. Just going to flip that over so it's a little bit easier to read. The T-square has to be in its place and it's got to be horizontal. Press the button to make it come up. Now our first one was 10. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to come down a little bit and I'm going to go 15. I'm going to come down a little bit and then I'm going to go 30, 10, 20, 30. Try and be accurate as you can, because if you were giving these plans to somebody, it'd need to be really accurate. After 30 is 50. After 50 is 70. After 70 is 75. After 75 is, you guessed it, 100. And all of these lines here have gone back at 30 degrees. And this is something we'll use a little bit later. Okay, but I want to draw lines the other way. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip that over and I'm going to do those dimensions yet again. Okay, so we've got 10, then we've got 15, then we've got 30, 10, 20, 30. Then we've got 50. I'm going to start here. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Then we're going to do 70. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Then we're going to do 75. And then the last one we're going to do is 100. So I'm going to start at 5 and go all the way down. Now, they're also at 30 degrees. So that's the first thing that we're going to have a go at doing. The next thing we're going to have a go at doing is drawing freehand, a square, a rectangle, a triangle, and a circle. We're going to start by drawing a square approximately 40 millimeters in its lengths. And I'm going to draw a vertical line, go across, and close it up. Very technical. Let's have a go at drawing a rectangle with the dimensions of 20 by 40. So if I draw 20 for its width and 40 for its length, and then I'm going to make a rectangle. And then we're going to make a triangle with a base of 30 and a height of 40. Let's try that. Okay, so I'm going to make my base approximately 30. And then I'm going to make my height approximately 40. And then my circle, I'm going to have a diameter of approximately 40 millimeters. See how we go. Now, what you can do is give yourself a little push, and you can actually use your, what's this one called? Your set square, and it's your 30-60. So let's say I want to draw a square again. I'm going to measure 40. Now this, I'm going to use a light guideline. See how it's nice and light, but there's no specific measurement on there. And then I'm going to measure a 4. Now for this one, you actually don't even need to measure it. All you need to do is just close it up. And I'm using really light lines. And then once I know where my lines go, then I can actually go back over and darken those up. Now you've got to make sure that you don't have train tracks, so that's 2 lines next to each other, and you've got to be as accurate as you can. Okay, that's my square drawn with my 30/60 and my T-square. Now let's draw another one. Let's have a go at doing a rectangle. So I'm going to measure 2 centimeters down for my width, and I'm going to measure 40 across for my length, width and length. I'm going to go now. Again, I actually don't need to measure that one, because if I come across here, I will be able to close it off. And there is my awesome rectangle. How do you think I've gone with guessing the first one? It's not too bad. Now the next one is my triangle with a base, and it is going to have a base of 30 millimeters. I'm going to find the center point, which is halfway, which is 15. My height is 40. Just going to jiggle that around a little bit. Because you don't have to start everything at the 0. You can if you want to, if it gets confusing. And then it's going to come up. I'm going to take that away, so there's not many times you would take your set square away from your T-square. And then you're going to close those up. Thus we have a triangle. Now, if I had a compass, and I'll show you what a compass looks like. This is a compass. I would set my compass up and draw a circle with a diameter, and the diameter is this one here, but I don't have a compass to show you, but I'll have some of those at school for you to have a look at. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to try and turn our shapes into something 3D. So let's just do 2 shapes. So I'm just going to do a freehand sketch of my square, and I'm going to have it all going back in the same direction, and then I'm just going to close it off. Watch this, it's a bit of magic. And then I have my square drawn in 3D. Now you don't have to have a go at this, but if you want to give yourself an extension, you can do that. I'm going to do the same thing with my rectangle. All goes back in the same direction. Close that up, and then I've got my freehand cube and rectangular prism. So the first ones we did were the oblique drawings. Now this one is actually called isometric, and this is the first one that we'll be having a go at by using all our tools, bringing them all together. So we start off with a vertical. We create a chook's foot going back at 30 degrees and close them up. So if you want to have a go at something like that, you're welcome to have a go at an oblique and an isometric. Okay, the next piece we're going to do is we're going to familiarize ourselves with our T-square and our 30/60 set square. I'm just going to put that paper in place and try and make sure that is straight. And then I'm going to start with my T-square, so it's set up. Just tilt that a little bit. Okay, so I've already had a go at one of these, and the first thing I had to do was draw in a circle, and then some windows, nice and light. When I say light, I really do mean lightly. Okay, now The thing with this I found was you've really got to be patient, be consistent, and watch what it is that you're doing. Okay, make sure you have a sharp pencil or use a pacer pencil. Just going to straighten that up a little bit more. And we're off. So I'm only going to move this a tiny bit at a time. And you can see where the tonal value gets darker and lighter. So where it's darker, your lines would come closer together in this exercise. And where they're lighter, you can change the pressure and spread them out. Kind of miss that. Actually going to bring that wing at the back down as well. Be patient. Move your T-square a little bit at a time. Whoops, don't cut your circle off. Okay, and then you can just work your way down. Okay, so I finished the plane and I'm just going to put some bling in the background. But the lines in the background do not touch the plane. So I'm going to throw in a few horizontals, bit of decoration. And as the lines get closer towards me, the gap between the lines becomes a little bit further apart. I'm going to make out I've got like some little clouds in here as well. Again, as the verticals, you put your set square and your T-square together. As you do your verticals, just make sure that they don't touch. Now for this piece, I'm going to use my board and my paper, my T-square and my set square. But instead of using a pencil, I'm going to use a pacer pencil and just see the difference in the quality of the line. If you have it, great. If you don't have it, you're welcome to have a go at that. So I'm just going to line up my paper with my set square. And make a start with the line work. Oops, missed it. Felt a little move in that. Okay, there we go. Oops, missed it again. What I'm trying to do is make that lead a little bit longer so it fits behind the ruler. And I can see where it starts and finishes. And you'll see with this drawing that there are actually places for you to use your set squares in this one. Not just vertical lines, but at a diagonal. There you go. Okay, so I'll just have a go finding that, and then we'll see what design we come up with. Okay, so I haven't finished my drawing yet, and I actually did like using the pacer pencil. I got my placement a bit mucked up before, which is why I rubbed some of the pieces out. You don't have to use the color if you don't wish, and I'm not going to finish it, and then that way hopefully you can make up your own mind about how you're going to do the lines. Now, again, if you don't have a design from me, you can do this yourself by drawing your own picture, a landscape, a seascape, a car, anything at all, and then concentrating on putting your horizontals and your verticals in and making sure your set square and your T-square work together.